Don't blink.
In the headlines tonight,
nothing. Why issue threats and all of these different things that are happening?
Joel Senyonyi, the chairman of COSASE, that is probing the irregular staff recruitment at Uganda Airlines, receives death threats.
Quinine is very effective anti-malarial.
Ministry of Health officials say they have cleared quinine tablets and injections as second line of malaria treatment.
naye ate kino ino kisoma wadde kirina kisoma oba nkirina mu degree naye nina okujja n'ensoma kino.
Also, herbalists who will ignore specialized training from the Directorate of Industrial Training will not get licenses from the National Drug Authority.
On the follow-up.
And in sports, Harry Kane scores his 250th goal for Tottenham as they moved top of the Premier League. A very good evening and welcome to CTV PM Edition. Today is 20th of August, a beautiful Saturday evening. My name is Agi Oase with Isaac Luchamuzi on sign language. Kickstarting off tonight's edition. Now, since the beginning of the week, it has been drama at Parliament as members of Parliament on the Committee of Commissions, Statutory Authorities and State Enterprises quizzed officials from the Uganda Airlines. Members of Parliament found out that the company has made losses amounting to close to 600 billion shillings, which some MPs attribute to mismanagement. And COSASE chairman Joel Senyonyi has run to police to report some people who are threatening his life. Let's take a look.
It's directed to the human resource manager.
Disturbing details from the committee show that the current chief executive officer of Uganda Airlines, Jennifer Bamturaki, got the job after instructions from the Works and Transport Minister General Katumba Wamala. Katumba Wamala reportedly directed the board to give the job to Bamturaki after being instructed by President Museveni. It also emerged that several Uganda Airlines top managers have questionable academic qualifications and experience.
CV that have been given does not have any postgraduate training at the time. So that's the issue of concern. So at the time she became CEO, she only had a bachelor's degree in social works and social administration.
Unfortunately, from the loss-making company.
The officer earns 87 million. The chief financial officer 73 million.
Following the controversy, Nakawa West Member of Parliament Joel Senyonyi, who chairs COSASE, says his life is in danger. He says he received death threats from people who want him to be careful while carrying out the probe.
When you compare and contrast, these people are not matching up to the task. They don't have the required qualifications. So little wonder the airlines is not operating in a profitable way, in an efficacious manner as it should be. So we are digging up on these issues. Of course, that does not come without challenges. There's been numerous threats, personally to me, and so on.
Senyonyi says he has reported the matter to the police at Central Police Station in Kampala. However, Kampala Metropolitan Police spokesperson Luka Weyesijere says they are ready to give Senyonyi the necessary security if his life is in danger.
He alleges through phone calls he receives threats, and we are going to look into that matter. We shall, of course, extract the alleged numbers that call him and investigate further. We shall provide the facts and the file to the Office of the DPP for perusal. That is if the case if we make arrests into the allegation. So More details will be available to you later on.
Senyonyi, however, says the threats will not deter them from probing the mismanagement of the Uganda Airlines.
It's because they are guilty. And for us, that shows we are on the right path. So we are going to dig some more. That means there is a lot more that we shall be able to unearth. Because if there is nothing, why issue threats and all of these different things that are happening? So
Senyonyi says they are not prosecuting Bamturaki since they are not mandated to do so, adding that their recommendations will be forwarded to government to take action.
I've decided for us we shall discharge our duty. Ours is to dig up these issues, expose the rot, and then put recommendations out there. Hopefully they can be acted upon, because you see, when these recommendations are acted upon and Uganda Airlines gets better or any of these other entities, it's not just to excite Joel Senyonyi or make me feel good. No, the country gets better. We get to have value, to get value for taxpayers' money from these entities, you know. So let's discharge our duty.
So they asked us to propose a salary structure.
Now, as malaria treatment becomes more complicated, Ministry of Health officials say they plan to make quinine tablets and injections the first-line drug for the treatment of the killer disease. The ministry officials say the decision follows findings that show that drugs that were classified as first-line malaria drugs are becoming less effective. The medications that have been considered as first-line drugs for uncomplicated malaria include Coetem and Artemether. In Uganda, the current and previous national malaria treatment policy recommended quinine given in its tablet formulation. Dr. Jimmy Opigo, the Deputy Commissioner in charge of malaria control, says quinine has not been the first choice drug because it could cause various complications such as body itching to some patients.
Quinine is very effective anti-malarial, very old, actually extracted from plants. The artemisinin can clear the parasites quickly. And most importantly, when you have severe malaria and you have sequestration blocking, you know, small blood vessels where now the infected blood cells are sticking together, artemisinins have the property of clearing that quickly so that your body continues to receive blood circulation and nutrients and air which it is providing.
Dr. Opigo says they have instructed medical workers to use quinine if the first line of malaria drugs fail.
For severe malaria, if people are not responding, to switch back to quinine. So going forward, we're even going to start buying some quinine, because quinine an old medicine, but it has never failed.
On malaria prevalence, Dr. Opigo says Namutumba district has the highest number of malaria cases. He says a campaign to carry out indoor residue spraying in Lango, West Nile, Kaberamaido, among other areas to kill mosquitoes will start soon. Dr. Opigo says mosquitoes transmit other diseases like elephantiasis. Also, they are commonly known for transmitting malaria. Malaria is one of the leading causes of death in Uganda at 23.7%. Uganda has the highest proportion of malaria cases in East and South Africa. The Prime Minister Robin Anabanja has asked Muslim clerics to support the parish development model, which is intended to improve on household incomes in Uganda. Nabanja was presiding over the official launch of Imam Sacco at Kawempe Mbogo High School in Kampala.
Nabanja says that the government introduced the parish development module to ensure that 33% of Ugandans who are outside the money economy join it.
Please embrace the parish development model because it will improve your financial status.
Nabanja donated 10 million Ugandan shillings to the Imam Sacco. She promised to continue collaborating with Muslim leaders to improve the standard of living of Muslims.
Kakati ebyokwogera bingi naye ebyenkulaakulana kikulu nnyo naddala mu bakulembeze. Bwe mbadde nzija muwaŋŋambe ndookinga Sacco naye akatono kennyina kankaleete.
Development is crucial, especially among leaders. That is why I support you.
Allah!
Allahu Akbar.
Munsawo muno mulimu milioni 10. Teka kanisa.
La ilaha illallah.
Haj Karim Khalisa, the patron of imams in Kampala, lauded President Museveni for empowering women in the country.
Agenda mu LC wanaga mutekewe entebe yawe n'agenda ku district n'agamba nti n'omukyala abeereko ku district n'agenda ng'asitula omutindo gw'abakyala n'agusitula. Kaakati wetwogerera Ssaabaminisita wa Uganda yono mukadde waffe atudde wano mu maaso
kwe kwejja mu nvuba y'obwavu kubanga bayimamba bonna bonna boolaba tewali afuna musaala. Ensonga eyokusatu kwe kubeera nga tubeera wamu okuyamba ku gavumenti okutuusa mu meseji yaayo mu bantu betukulembera. Era maama tweyama mu maaso go nti byonna by'onootutuma tujja bituusanga mu bantu baffe betukulembera.
Ow'omugaaliwa Katonda bw'aba takuwadde okkirize.
CTV PM edition takes a short break, but we'll be right back with more stories. Do stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching CTV PM edition with me, Agi Uwase, and Isaac Luchamzi on sign language. Now, moving on, National Drug Authority officials have asked herbalists to get basic skills from the Directorate of Industrial Training. They say no herbalist will be given a practicing certificate from NDA if they are not trained in herbalism. The head of standards at the Directorate of Industrial Training, Safina Nachove, says herbalists have to follow professional practicing guidelines, just like their counterparts who treat patients using Western medicine. The herbalists acquired various skills, including adding value to herbs. Now, some of them, according to DIT officials, are now able to produce herbal capsules that treat various ailments. Haji Jamiru Mukwaya Lutakome, who represents herbalists on the NDA committee, says it's impossible to guide untrained herbalists. Dr. Tuhaise Muhumuza says some of his colleagues who were trained in medical schools have resorted to natural herbs to treat various diseases and complications. In our regional news tonight, Somali security forces confirmed at least 10 people dead in an Islamic extremist attack on a hotel in the capital on Friday. Now, according to officials, the gunmen detonated explosives outside the Hyatt Hotel in Mogadishu before entering and opening fire on civilians. An Ethiopian Prime Minister's office has announced a peace committee that had been drawn up on a proposal to start a ceasefire talks with the rebels and end the war in the northern region. Let's take a look.
Dozens of staff members and guests, including children, were rescued by a special unit. Loud explosions and gunfire could be heard in the early hours of Saturday morning, indicating police officers and militants were still fighting. The Al-Qaeda-linked group Al-Shabaab claimed responsibility for the attack on a pro-Al-Shabaab website. The Hyatt is described as a popular location for government officials whom the terrorist group has been combating for 15 years. This, however, is the biggest attack in the capital city since Somalia's new president was elected in May. The spokesperson for the Ethiopian Prime Minister's office announced that a 7-member peace committee had drawn up a proposal to start ceasefire talks with the rebels and end the war in the northern region.
It proposes for peace talks to happen within the coming weeks towards an agreed ceasefire.
The ceasefire agreement and a national dialogue could end the 20-month-long war in northern Ethiopia on Wednesday. The spokesperson for the Ethiopian Prime Minister's office insisted the government wanted talks with rebel leaders in the Tigray region to start. For this purpose, a plan was drawn up by a 7-member peace committee established in June. Belin Soyum, the Prime Minister's press secretary, says the peace plan proposes for peace talks to happen within the coming weeks towards an agreed ceasefire. It also proposes to undertake an in-depth political dialogue between the parties leading towards a settlement, as well as addressing through a national dialogue. Fighting has eased since a humanitarian truce was declared at the end of March, but a political solution has yet to be found. The rebels and the government haven't agreed on a mediator. The African Union leads efforts to end the conflict that has killed thousands and left millions displaced.
In our international news tonight, more drone attacks against Russian targets have been reported in Crimea. The unconfirmed reports follow a string of attacks against Russian military sites and equipment in the annexed peninsula over the past week. We have more.
Unverified videos appear to show smoke rising from the area in Sevastopol, where Russia's Black Sea Fleet is based. Meanwhile, Ukraine's president says the safety of the Zaporizhia nuclear plant can start to be restored by a visit of international inspectors. Volodymyr Zelensky was speaking after Vladimir Putin said UN officials would be guaranteed permission to visit the site. Moscow and Kiev have blamed each other for shelling the complex, which is controlled by Russia, raising fears of catastrophe. Ukraine has set up a parade of destroyed Russian tanks and armor along a road in Kiev, often used for military processions. Up until Saturday, the vehicles, most of which were destroyed in the first weeks of the war, were set up outside the iconic St. Michael's Monastery as a reminder of Russia's aggression. They were moved by cranes and lorries this morning to Kreshestatik Street in preparation for Ukraine's Independence Day on 24th August.
CTV PM edition takes a short break, but we'll be right back with more stories from the world of sports. Do stay with us.